Monitors black, but now it's clear. And we're here, fans. Good evening, and welcome to another exciting Channel 22 sports production. I'm Rufus Washington, joined tonight by Scott Gutman, who will be doing color commentary for us. We're here at Hawthorne High School as the Saxons of North Torrance have made the short trip up Hawthorne Boulevard to take on the Cougars of Hawthorne in tonight's opening contest in the Ocean League. So, league plays underway. Hawthorne still trying to get off the snide, a little bit behind the ball right now, but they've got a lot of new changes, Scott.
Yes, they definitely do. They do have a chance tonight to get their first win, as do the North High Saxons, as both teams are coming in tonight with a combined record of 1-9. So it's not been too much of a good start for both teams. But hey, when it comes to league play, it's a whole different story, folks, because league play is what counts. And this is our first matchup here between these now newly Ocean League rivals, as North High has made the, Hawthorne has made the jump from the Bay League to the Ocean League. So we'll see what plays out tonight. It should be a great game.
As Scott mentioned to you, Hawthorne coming in to tonight's contest with no wins. They're winless in five attempts, and North, the Saxons, of course, only have the one win. So this will be an interesting thing. Both teams looking to get started positively in league play. Hawthorne's quarterback is Raheem Stevens, although struggling a little bit. Still a threat whenever he has the ball in his hands.
Yeah, these first 5 losses for the Cougars, Rufus, have not been too pretty, as they've been outscored by a total of 217 to 52. And they've only averaged 10 points on offense per game, and they gave up 43 per game.
Well, as you said, this perhaps being the most evenly matched contest of the season. This, of course, is the midway point. Gosh, we're 6 games in. There you see I believe that's the new Hawthorne head coach. You were telling us a little bit about him. Scott, why don't you let the crowd know who we're looking at there?
That's Coach Martin French, the man who did not oblige to answer any questions before the game, so we don't have any inside information on the Cougars and how the team's been throughout the last couple of weeks. It's been 2 weeks since we covered the game, so he was not too happy with trying to talk with us before the game, but that's not a problem, as the game will go on.
Well, the game will go on. You or David must have done something to get under their skin a little bit. I'll see if I can bail you guys out yet again. We actually, right now, fans, there is no delay. We're preparing to be entertained with the national anthem by the band of Hawthorne High School. Small crowd here tonight, but we expect that group will grow as the contest goes along.
I think we're getting ready for the national anthem here. Hawthorne coming in this game last week, they had a pretty disastrous loss to the Maricosta Mustangs. The score on that game ended up being 75-6, and the North High Saxons are coming in this game after their first win against Centennial. So the North High Saxons picked up their first win last week and are looking to make it 2 coming up against the Cougars this week.
And as we mentioned and can't overemphasize it, the Cougars, of course, wanting to get off to a good start. I guess the last time we took a look at the Cougars a couple of weeks ago, Scott, when you and Dave Marks, who's not with us tonight, on assignment, Dave did the game. He was telling me the Crenshaw game.
Yeah, Crenshaw Cougars versus Cougars. And once again, the Hawthorne Cougars had a tough time, but not to knock them, they were playing against a Division I LA City school in Crenshaw Cougars, so it was tough to even compete with those guys. We'll see what plays out tonight. It should be a pretty even match, as both teams are hungry for their first Bay League win, Ocean League win.
This Hawthorne program, of course, has a storied history. Goes back to when you were a kid, Scott. I can tell you, go back to the days of Curtis Conway, NFL star today, Travis Hanna, who played a couple of years in the NFL as well with the old Houston Oilers. And the Cougars not only had an excellent football team back in the day, as they say, but they also were an outstanding track program. In recent years, though, their athletics have struggled just a bit, but who knows? Maybe a turnaround is in store starting tonight.
Like I said, Rufus, I wasn't able to get too much information on injuries and player stats so far for the Cougars. But it could be a big issue. 2 games ago when we covered them against Crenshaw High Cougars, their star big lineman Luke Lampede was injured. I'm not sure if he's playing tonight, as like I said, the coaching staff was not too willing to actually even talk whatsoever. But we're about to get the kickoff going here at Halcat Field, Rufus.
So that's Sione Tupe with the kickoff to the Saxons of North. It's taken at about the 22-yard line, and a short return takes it out to about the 27, where it's a 5-yard return. So the Saxons go on offense first with the ball. A chance
Rufus,
to see them.
Go ahead. Rufus, that kick was picked up by number 9 Kyle Pond, who's also a star on the baseball team for the North High Saxons. When I was speaking to head coach Croce for the Saxons before the game, he noted that he is the most improved player overall so far for the Saxons.
Cougars playing up tight on the line defensively, and we're going to have our first penalty of the game on the very first play, and looked like the right side of the Cougar lineup jumped. That was number 84. Looks like Micah Shelton may have been the guy who jumped outside.
Michael Shelton, who also plays the tight end position on the offensive side of the ball for the Cougars.
So that'll make it a first down and 5. If you're just joining us, fans, this is first quarter action. We've yet to get our first play from scrimmage. Operating out of the shotgun. There's a snap, inside handoff to number 24 as he cuts in, and looks like he may have enough for the first down. Number 24 for the Saxons, of course, is Anthony Banks, a 6'1", 195-pound senior.
Look for the Saxons to come out here with a versatile offensive attack. They're going to run it and pass it. There's no one dimension in this football team here. And also to note, quarterback Johnny Silva starting tonight in place of their usual starter, who is Lyle Moivi. He's been out with an injury for the last 2 games.
Once again in the shotgun with 2 backs. Back over here on the left side is Thomas Brown as a defensive back. He takes a couple steps back now. They send 2 men in coverage. Brown lets the guy go by him. Now he's covering him. However, the Cougar linemen come up with the big defensive stop. In fact, they sack him for a 5-yard loss on the play. Good defensive effort that time by the Cougars will make it a 2nd and about 14. Let's call it 15.
Big tackle there for the Cougars linebacker, Tara Kendall. As we've seen that first play right there, we've seen Silva drop back in shotgun formation. Croce, before the game, head coach for the North High Saxons, stated he wants to put Silva pretty much in the shotgun throughout the game, being that he's only a sophomore and he's only started 2 games throughout his career, and he wants to take care of him, not get him too banged up.
Again, the Saxons keep the ball on the ground, pick up a couple of yards, not yet back to the original line of scrimmage. It's going to make it a 3rd and 13. So far the Saxons have elected Scott to keep the ball on the ground.
Yes, they have. That could be based on what I said before. They got a sophomore quarterback in. There's only a 2nd game starting. But that's not to say he has not had an impressive outing. The last game in their first victory against Sentinella, Johnny Silva threw for 260 yards, 4 touchdowns, and only threw 1 interception. So he's stepping in pretty good here for the Saxons.
Again, you see their formation. Shotgun, nothing. This time a quarterback keeper, however, lets his first pass of the game go, and it sails out of bounds, incomplete.
Silva there was looking for their all-star wideout, Jeff Gray. He was an all-league wideout last year and has stepped it up still this year, as he's had a very, very productive year this year. He's caught 27 catches so far for 4 touchdowns, and he is a star on the defensive side of the ball too. So Jeff Gray is a player to watch out here for the Saxons, as he is their biggest offensive threat.
So the Cougars with an opportunity to get the ball on the punt. We've got 5:33 left here in the first quarter. Pretty quickly moving first quarter when you got all running plays, of course. Clock continues to run. There's a snap. The kick is up. Brown calls for it, catches it on the run, and is taken down after a very short game, but a gutsy play by number 10, Thomas Brown, on the punt reception and return.
That kick, which only went for about 25 yards, is putting the Hawthorne High Cougars in pretty good field position. They're starting about their own 40-yard line, Rufus.
They start at their own 40, which is pretty good field position.
Sophomore.
And on the center for the Cougars, this time is, well, first of all, let's deal with the handoff and the play. There on the play, they pick up about 9, maybe even enough for the first down as they come out, keeping the ball on the ground. I was about to announce to you that the quarterback for starting the night for the Cougars is Richard Badamana. Badamana is a 5'9", 155-pound senior. Raheem Stevens had been the quarterback for the Cougars last couple of weeks.
And it's a mystery to us why he's not starting tonight.
Well, when you're 0-5, it's time to make changes. And as they say in football, you can change one or two people. You can change the coach or you can change the quarterback. Looks like they've opted to change the quarterback. Penalty on the play, procedure penalty against the Cougars, backs them up 5 yards. That takes the ball back to the 35-yard line, so it's going to be a 1st and 15 now for the Cougars. Cougars at an I formation, the handoff to the second back through. He's only going to pick up about 3 on the carry. Of course, that's number 10, Thomas Brown.
Thomas Brown so far this season, Rufus, has been the Cougars' bright spot. He's had a couple 100-yard rushing games and has been their biggest offensive threat so far this year. It's a good thing he transferred from Redondo last year, or the Cougars' offense would be more dismal than it already has been this year.
Had a chance to talk to Thomas's mom on the way up to the booth, and it's always good to see. I've known the family a long time. Good people. They fake the handoff out of the I formation. Badamana rolls right, keeps it himself, turns it upfield, gets near the first down before he's finally horse-collared and driven out of bounds over on the far sideline.
Great mobility there by Badamana, but he sure did take a lick at the end of that play. Number 7, Greg Smith, put a hard hit on him, and that's not the way you want to see your quarterback get hit, but that was a brave, gutsy run by Badamana. Hats off to him.
And they're going to say is about a half a yard short. So it'll be 3rd and short for the Cougars here. This is their first possession of the ball game. We've got under a minute left now in the first quarter.
So look at that replay.
Score.
He sure did take a hit.
There you see that was number 7, Greg Smith, who put the lick on him at the end. 3rd and short. And they keep it on the ground, hand it off again. They've picked up the first down, but there's a fumble on the play. Looks like North may have it.
And they do.
So the Cougars are moving. They pick up the first down, but they fumble on the play. Ball's going to go over to North. It's going to give North excellent field position at their own 48. Here's the replay.
Great move.
That's Alex Gaines with the carry. Gaines, of course, a 9th grader by our records. Of course, this says he was born in 5'9", 170. I thought they were saying he was born in 1970. I was going to say if he's born in 1970 as a 9th grader. That's wrong. Yeah, okay. They fake the pass, keep it on the ground. They give it to their workhorse running back. Of course, that's Anthony Banks. 195-pound senior, not much on that play. So the Cougar defense has to go back to work, Scott, after having done their job defensively on the preceding drive. Now it's up to them to make another stop.
Yeah, their defensive line and linebackers so far, though, have looked pretty impressive. They've been penetrating the run pretty well and breaking through the line with ease for the breaking through the North High Saxons line with ease. I think we were a victim earlier with the time clock. We're at 6 minutes, not 1. It's sometimes a few of those light bulbs go out over there. You know how that is, Rufus.
And you're exactly right. And our apologies to the fans. You're right. We still got a lot of football. Great catch, great hit. Was that Badamana or was that number 6? You can't tell.
That was Goodall.
That was Brian Goodall. Great reception, great hit there.
Definitely. Great play from both spectrums of play there.
Get a chance to see it again on the replay. There you see the receiver, number 21, go up for it. Unfortunately, we don't have 21 in our program, but we do have number 6, Brian Goodall. And he put a lick on him, but everybody comes away from it okay. And more importantly, North comes away with a first down in Cougar territory at the Cougar 38-yard line. They keep it on the ground once again. That's their quarterback, John Silva, who continually gives it off to Anthony Banks. So let's see if this turnover comes back to haunt the Cougars, Scott.
It might. That could be the key that comes out victorious this game, is who's on the plus-minus side of the turnover ratio.
Of course, we got a lot of football left, fans. We're in the first quarter, just under 6 minutes here at Halcap Field. Scoreless contest thus far. Out of the eye, they hand it off. Well, the Cougars got that one figured out, and let's recognize that that was Terrell Kendall in on that play, number 35. If all you're going to do is hand it off to 24, doesn't take long to figure out that, Scott.
Definitely, as Kendall was not a fool there, and he's come out with numerous tackles so far this game. He's come out with some good hard hits against the Saxons offense.
So it's a 3rd and 10 now for the Saxons. Cougar defense, once again, having to bear down just a bit. They're doing a good job thus far, though. They've been out on the field quite a while. They can make the stop here. They may be able to negate that turnover by the offense earlier in this quarter. Here's a drop back. There's a pass over in the flat. The reception is made, and it's going to be enough for the first down, though. As they take the ball inside the 25-yard line, looks like they're going to spot it at about the 23, where it will be 1st and 10 for the Saxons.
As we get a look at the replay here, I thought we were. That was a great catch though by Kyle Pond. Saxons wide out. And Silva sure does not look like a sophomore back there in the pocket, Rufus. He looks pretty calm and composed back there.
Doing a good job. Once again, they're in the I formation. The deep back is Anthony Banks. His blocking back is number 35. Banks gets the reception. Banks goes up the left side between the tackle and the guard. Now we got a late flag coming in on the play. It's going to be close to a first down as it is, but we'll have to see how this flag affects that play. A referee there with the signal. Personal foul against the Cougars. So that's going to take it half the distance to the goal. If it wasn't a first down, it's automatic now. It looks like we're going to end up with a 1st and goal situation, Scott.
Yeah, the Cougars are pinned back down on their goal line now thanks to that turnover. They're going to have to come up with a big defensive play if they're going to want to hold the Saxons to that goose egg that's up on the scoreboard right now.
So they're inside the 10-yard line, down near the 5, judging by the position of the side judge. A bit hard for us to see from here. Once again, they keep it on the ground and looking for a signal. No signal yet.
Looks like he's a little bit short.
Indication is that it'll be 2nd down from about the 3-yard line.
And that was well-executed low tackling there by, I believe, Brian Goodall, as he clipped the knees right up under Anthony Bell there on that running play. Anthony Banks, pardon me.
So a 2nd and goal for the Saxons. Silva on the quarterback. They send a man in motion. No surprise there. They keep it on the ground with Banks. And now we get the indication from the side judge that it is a touchdown. So a 3-yard touchdown run for number 24, Anthony Banks, at the 340 mark, puts the Saxons of North Torrance on top.
As we look at this replay, there's Banks putting his head down and lowering the shoulders and going straight for the goal line. You end up sneaking in there.
Kick is up, and it's good. So our score right now, 7-0 in favor of the Saxons. Cougars will be receiving on Hawthorne's Community Cable Channel 22. So, Scott, your early thoughts in terms of what we saw on that drive?
The Cougars got plagued by penalties on that drive. It looked like they were going to hold the Saxons all for naught on that last drive, but penalties seem to have plagued them as it has been doing the whole year so far. And the Saxons look pretty impressive as Silva looks calm and composed back there in the pocket. At first, I thought that the Hawthorne Cougar run defense was stepping up pretty big as they were, but they gave up a couple big runs to Anthony Banks as Banks was able to find a few holes through the line. Now it's going to be the Cougars' turn to show what they have on offense, though.
Of course, that touchdown, let us remind you, as always, in sports at every level, set up by the turnoff. Now we've got a stoppage in play. Looks like they're going to have to re-kick. There is a flag over here on the near sideline. Judging from where it is, I think that's probably going to indicate that North Torrance was offside on the kickoff. And that's the indication. Indication was that it was offside by North Torrance.
So the Cougars now have a second opportunity to get in field position for the good field position for the second time this game.
Here's a kick again. It's a deep kick. This one's going to sail into the end zone. Brown won't have a chance to return. Sails out of the back of the end zone. Just as I commented last week, Scott, about the field conditions, I can tell you that over the past year or two, the administration here has invested in making some improvements to Halcap Field, including the track, which is a very lovely track. The football field is in great condition. And, of course, for a football game, it's nice and marked. Things are going well. There have been a lot of improvements made around both of our local schools, Lusinger and Hawthorne, and that helps to contribute to a conducive learning environment as well as an athletic environment.
Definitely, Rufus, is very good to see. That could be in due part to teaching staff here at Hawthorne High and also to city council members and the mayors throughout Hawthorne helping contribute to financing to get this field looking the way it has been within the last couple of years.
So this is the Cougars' second possession of the first quarter. We've got 3:40 left on the clock. It's a 1st and 10 from the 20. Cougars are in the eye. They keep it on the ground. The quarterback and the running back collide with one another, and they're going to suffer a loss on the play, a loss of 3 or 4. That was number 34, the running back, who collided with Badamana. 34, of course, we know is Alex Gaines.
Rufus, tonight the Cougars might not have that hard of a time of putting points up on the board as the North High Saxons are only returning one defensive starter, and that is their returning cornerback, Jeff Gray.
There you see the replay where the quarterback and the running back collided. Once again, out of an I formation. This time they hand it off second back through. This is Brown. Brown comes around the left side, has some running room. Brown has the first down, hangs on to it as he crosses the 35-yard line. They're going to spot it at the 36, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Cougars. Good run there by Thomas Brown, as we mentioned, the 5'9", 160-pound senior, who also plays some wide receiver. As you said earlier, Scott, he's all of their offense.
Mm-hmm. The last play, he had phenomenal footwork there. He kept his legs moving and in turn picked up the first down for the Cougars.
Once again, they keep it on the ground. That's Brown again. Brown with a good carry, gets about 8 on the play, gets pushed back, but they'll give him forward progress, and that forward progress is going to take him out to about near the 45-yard line. Need to get across the 45 for the first down, so it looks like it's going to be 2nd and maybe 1.
Brown did a superb job that last play of following his blocker to pick up that 8 yards.
Now, this is nearly the exact same position they were in on their last drive when they fumbled, and, of course, that turnover led to the Saxon touchdown and the extra point conversion. Just under 2 minutes left here in the first quarter. This time, man comes in motion. Again, they keep it on the ground, and they pick up the first down from the spot. It should be a first down. Let's see.
Might have to bring out the sticks. This is a close call, Rufus.
The referee says I can eyeball it from here. Referee looks across the field, uses his own visual acumen, and decides that it's a first down, and that'll keep the drive alive. Of course, the drive right now operating from just across the 45-yard line of the Cougars. They're looking to make up a 7-point deficit as we look at the clock, and it rolls down to 1 minute left here in the first quarter. Man in motion. Here's the pitch back to Brown. Brown hits the line, cuts it back inside, has some running room, goes around the right side, one man to beat. That man catches a hold of his jersey as he's going by and is able to drag him down, but not until after he gets inside the North Torrance 35 down to about the 34-yard line.
Great running there by Thomas Brown, and we'll get a look at this replay here. Michael Shelton put on a superb block for Brown. He led the way superbly. As we look at Shelton right there, number 84, he just got out the screen. There he is right there. Put in a big block to create that gap straight up the middle, and then went Brown up towards the sideline, picking up about 25 on that last run.
Brown comes off to catch his breath. They keep it on the ground. This time again, it's number 34. That's Alex Gaines with the carry.
As I mentioned before, this North High Saxons football team is not the same team. They reached the Division 10 finals last year and ended up losing to Santa Monica. This is not the same team, as they have lost numerous star players, including star quarterback Kenny Brown, who went on to go play at San Jose State. It's his first year up there, and in talking to head coach Croce, he stated that he's redshirting this year, so he's not playing. He's just going to school. And they also lost star wideout Michael Bolio. So the better portion of the stars and starters of this North High Saxons team is not here on this 2002 version of the North High Saxons. But that's not to say that they don't have a decent football team.
So that brings us to the end of one quarter. And after one, our score, Saxons of North Torrance, 7. The Hawthorne Cougars right now with the goose egg, but the Cougars are on the march, courtesy of a big 20-yard run by Thomas Brown. They're going to start second quarter action at the 30-yard line of North Torrance. So things could turn around real quick here.
Cougars looking to catch up to this 7-0 start that the Saxons have put on the board. Looks like they're doing a good job of it. They've established their first steady drive of the game so far, and they're pretty deep into Saxon territory.
We'll be getting underway right now. That's bottom minor, under center. Cougars in the eye. Again, they bring the man in motion. They keep this one on the ground. They give it to the up back. He's going to take off and run. That's big number 31. Touchdown for the Cougars. Mama Tuifua with the touchdown. That, of course, was a 30-yard touchdown run. We told you it could happen real fast. Are there flags? There are flags on the play. Is this one going to come back? The indication from the Cougar players is that it's against the Saxons, so the touchdown stands. So,
Saxons defense on that last run looked confused there, and at the very end, Tuifua just ran straight through Kyle Pond, and Kyle Pond was not able to wrap him up down there near the goal line, and in turn, the Cougars are on the board, down 7-6 and looking to knot it up with this extra point kick here, Rufus.
Yeah, you see the touchdown run again there. Big bruising fullback.
As he gets down near the goal line, Pond was not able to wrap him up.
Tuifua, a 5'11", 219-pound fullback. Extra point attempt coming up here by George Corby. There's a snap. The kick is up, and it's blocked. No good. So the extra point fails to draw the Cougars even. So they right now, though, courtesy of the 30-yard TD run by 204, now they only trail by a margin of 7-6.
So this blocked extra point kick could come back to bite the Cougars in the tush, as 1 point like that could mean a ball game, which means if the Saxons were to score again and the Cougars were to score again, they'd have to go for 2 to tie it up. So that could be a big minus for the Cougars in this game.
Well, I think probably next time through the Cougars will go for 2 anyway if they get back in, but this has to make the coaching staff feel good and certainly the team feel good. We got ourselves a ball game, folks. We're just at the beginning of second quarter action. Cougars took the first play of the second quarter, ripped off a 30-yard TD run, and now they're back in the contest. Although they trail by a point due to the failed extra point attempt, still 7-6. Good ball game. Here's the kickoff. They let it bounce around. They finally pick it up at the 11. That gives the Cougar coverage time to get there. Now they're reversing field, dropping deeper. Cougars can't seem to put him down. A lot of stiff arming, and they finally drive the return man for the Saxons out of bounds at about the 17-yard line. So good kickoff coverage by the Cougars. There you see the replay. The return man for them is Jeff Gray. Gray strings it out. And finally driven down by a host of Cougars over on the far sideline. Cougars again, the Saxons keeping it on the ground. They pick up about 6 on the play as they take it out to approximately they're going to give them less than that. Apparently got driven out a lot earlier than where we thought the pile was. Looks like it's at about the 20-yard line where they're going to mark it. However, there's an injured Cougar down on the far side of the field. Coaching staff going over to attend to him. From his position, very difficult for us to see whom it is right now. But while we've got a break in the action, that gives us an opportunity, fans, to tell you something that I'm sure you already know, but it doesn't hurt to be reminded that these broadcasts, our Game of the Weeks, are produced in conjunction with Hawthorne Community Cable Channel 22. I want to thank Larry Bender over at City of Hawthorne, who's in charge of the cable TV department. Also produced with Time Warner Cable. Thanks to Don Todd and his crew. These contests air on Channel 22 in Lawndale and Hawthorne, and Channel 6 in Lawndale, Hawthorne, Gardena, and El Segundo. Pretty soon, Scott, will be nationwide. We're getting there one small town at a time. But as always, we thank you, the fans, for joining in. And we still got a break in the action. I don't know if we have that graphic on Lawndale's community with Lawndale's internet address on it, but if you're looking, fans, you can always, if you want to know the listings, please check the Lawndale program schedule at www.lawndaleCity.org. And that gives you Lawndale's program schedule. That is for Channel 22. All right, so take a visit, and I'm sure you can also find a lot of other interesting information about the city of Lawndale. Coach and staff coming off the field now. As we can see, the injured Cougar who's coming off under his own steam was Jerry Smith. Jerry's a 6'3", 222-pound defensive back, linebacker, and punter. Looks like he's going to be okay. So we're back to live action now, fans. North Torrance with the ball. North Torrance with the handoff. to their big bull of a running back. And he stopped after a short gain. That's Anthony Banks, of course.
Great interior tackling there by the Cougars as they penetrated the Saxons' offensive line pretty much with ease there. And for the most part, have been doing it for the predominant amount of the game, as the Saxons have only been able to break a couple of runs, and the Cougars' defensive line has also been putting the Saxons' quarterback Silva under pressure throughout the game so far.
So it's a 3rd and short now for the Cougars. They're calling it a 3rd and 5. Well, that makes it about 3rd and average, I guess, rather than short. So a good opportunity here for the Cougar defense if they can hold. Here's the pitch back. Cougar defense stringing it out, turns it up. Let's see. Believe they got enough for the first down, and it looks like they did as they took the ball out near the 30-yard line, and the indication is that it is a first down. And we've got an injured Cougar limping off the field, going down on the sideline. That's number 31. That's Tuifua, and that's a player they can ill afford to lose. Tuifua, of course, a two-way player. Looks like he has an injured leg, and I can tell you, he's in a lot of pain right now. So first down for the Saxons. This time they roll out. Quarterback keeps it himself, and is going to be sacked on the play. Big sack there by number 73 for the Cougars. That's Mateo. Excuse me?
That's Lasky, number 73, Mateo
Okay.
Lasky. As we look at this, Silva was trying to squirm away here, and Lasky just reached out with his arm, got a hold of the jersey, and threw him to the ground. And with that force of weight going down on a quarterback who only weighs about 200 pounds, I'd have to say it's without a doubt that quarterback's fallen to the ground.
And Lasky's a big kid, and he literally jumped on his back. Lasky listed in the program as 330 pounds, and I can guarantee he's not a biscuit shy of that. Once again, they keep it on the ground. This time the Cougars gang tackle Banks, and they drop him for an even bigger loss. It's going to make it a 3rd and a ton of yardage right now. Looked like it's going to be close to 3rd and 20 and some change.
As we look at this replay here, and once again, Cougar defensive line penetrates right through that Saxons offensive line and forces Bank to get minus rushing yards there.
Cougars playing very, very spirited tonight. Certainly not playing like a 0-5 team. Instead, playing like a 5-0 team. Sometimes records can be deceiving. This is a 3rd and 20. All the Cougars have to do now is defend against the long pass. And from what we've seen thus far, the pass shouldn't be much of a threat. The quarterback drops back, rolls out, lays it up in the air, and it's incomplete. That pass intended for their number 10, Jeff Gray. So the Cougar defense here in the 3rd quarter with 8:21 left in the first half. They come up with a big hold, and they're going to get the ball in excellent field position, Scott.
Yes, they are, and that's thanks to the Cougar defensive line. They're penetrating through that Saxons offensive line with ease, and that, Rufus, could be in due part to the fact that the Saxons are starting 3 sophomores on that offensive line, so they have a very, very young offensive line, and the Cougars are taking advantage of it so far this game.
Very good observation, Scott, and let's see how the Cougar fortunes go here on the punt return. An opportunity to get the ball in excellent field position. Here's the punt. The kick is up. Brown lets it hit, decides to let it bounce. Now Brown is retreating. He's going to have to make up a lot of ground. He was at his 50. Let's see, can he turn the corner? He's looking to turn. He has turned the corner. Now he's only got one guy to beat here on the side. Dances around, finally brought down at the 30-yard line of the Saxons. Brown, who was at his 50, retreated all the way, let the ball hit. It bounced to about the Cougar 30. He picked it up and simply outran the pursuit of the Saxons. Here you'll see it on the replay. There you see the 30-yard line, just as we called it, actually drops all the way back to about the 27-yard line. Now he finally turns and heads upfield.
When you look at this replay, Rufus, you got to wonder, he has just such athletic skills as almost every single Cougar blocker was on the other end of the field, and he almost single-handedly ran that back by himself without any blockers.
Excellent play that time by Brown. Huge first half for him. That's 60 yards on the return. We're going to have a flag here. This is going to be delay a game against the Cougars. Even I can call that one, and that's the indication from the referee. That won't hurt him too much, though. It will back up their field position to the 35-yard line. It'll make it a 1st and 15.
Rufus, one thing's for sure on this next play, it's not going to Thomas Brown as he's on the sideline getting a breather after that spectacular run.
A well-deserved breather at that. So the Cougars, they line up in an I formation. They also send out 2 receivers, and they put a guy in the slot. Let's see if the slot guy moves. He doesn't. They fake the handoff. Cougars look like they're going to put it up. They do put it up. The reception made. Great hit. That's the second big hit of the night we've seen. But before we talk about the hit, let's talk about the reception. On that reception was Robert Love. He went up for it and went across the middle, something not even, they say Randy Moss isn't even willing to do sometimes. But Love went across the middle. He paid the price, but, boy, he held on to that ball.
Great
and there you
composure.
see they had upended there.
That is great composure and concentration on the half of Love. It's tough to hold on to a catch like that, but he did so.
So that's an outstanding hit for each defense so far in this game. This time they keep it on the ground once again. They're going to lose. This is Brown. Brown trapped in the backfield. This time he's going to lose a lot on the play. Wow, that's a huge loss. That's going to take them back to the, looks like about the 34-yard line. Let's drive started at the 20, well, the line of scrimmage was about the 20-something. Looks like about a 12-yard loss on the play.
So Brown has shown his athletic ability so far this game. Might have been showing it a little bit too much there, reversing his direction right in the middle of the play, and in turn lost 12 yards.
So it's a 2nd down. Should be about a 2nd and 22 for the Cougars. They need to get down inside the 10 to about the 8. They're looking to put it in the air again. Badamana keeps it himself. Not a bad decision as he picks up a lot of that yardage that they lost. Can't argue too much with that decision, Scott, by Badamana to keep it himself, and picked up good yardage on the play. Picked up about 10 of the 12 that they had lost previously. Makes it a 3rd down. And looks like about 12 or 13 yards.
Hats off to Badamana as he's a brave quarterback. As we get a look at this, Rufus, he's going to take another hard hit here by a Saxon defender, and there it is. Pretty much a helmet-to-helmet hit there, and he took it to the chin there by, I think, number 33, Matt Ima, the 5'11", 195 linebacker. He's a senior.
So it's a 3rd and long now for the Cougars. Ball outside the 20. They need to get down to about the 8. There's a pitch back to Brown. Brown with some running room around the right side. Brown turns it up. It's going to be just short of the 1st down. He got bumped out of bounds right at the 10-yard line. It's going to make it a 4th and 2. So the Cougar coaching staff at the 6:03 mark has to make a decision.
So Brown, Rufus, as we mentioned before, is the spark plug in this Cougar offense. As we see him following his blockers there, finds a little bit of hole, takes it to the sidelines, and is finally caught up, went all the way through the line, and got finally down to the Saxons safety, Kyle Pond, who made a touchdown-saving tackle there. He had everyone beat except for Pond.
They take Brown out on this 4th down play. They send in number 34, Alex Gaines. They keep it on the ground. And is there another fumble on the play? It looks like there was, but the Cougars are saying that they have it. And they do. That's Badamana at the bottom of the pile. He comes out of there signaling 1st down. So the Cougars threatening again here, Scott. It's going to be 1st and goal for the Cougars from the 5-yard line.
The Cougars are going to take over deep in Saxon's territory as they recover their own fumble. And boy, would that have been a heartbreaker if they wouldn't have recovered that one.
But I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The Cougars have looked good this evening. They certainly don't look like a 0-5 team. They keep it on the ground. This is Brown. He's in for the touchdown, but there's no indication. They're going to say it's second and a foot. The ref is saying his knee was down before he reached out and put the ball across the goal line. Of course, the ball only has to break the plane, but the ref says, hey, you're already laying on the ground when you did that. So it will be 2nd and 1, or 2nd and goal for the Cougars from the 1-foot line. Here we see the replay again. We're going to need to come out of it as we're back in live action. Quarterback keeper, and we do have a touchdown. That's Badamana with the 1-foot touchdown run at the 4:52 mark here in the first half. That puts the Cougars on top right now by a score of 12-7. And as I was saying, Scott, my guess is that they'll go for the 2-point conversion here. Of course, I'm just guessing. This is my first time seeing the Cougars at work, including the coaching staff.
Yes, more than likely. Common sense would say they're going to go for 2. And that was a superb quarterback sneak there by the southpaw, Badamana, as he squeaked in for the touchdown.
And the Cougars are going for the 2. Here's a pitch back to give it to Brown. Brown turns it up. He's going to be stopped, looks like short of it. That's the indication from the side. The extra point attempt, no good. Looks like Brown gets up limping just a little. Coming off gainfully under his own power, though.
So the Saxons here are going to get the kickoff. They're going to have to get something going on offense. As so far this game, the Cougar defensive line has dominated up front, giving the Saxons quarterback no time to throw the ball, and neither giving the Saxons halfbacks any holes to run through.
So for the first time tonight, the Cougars enjoy the lead here deep in the first half. As you can see here at Hal Cap Field, we've got 4:50 left in the first half. Cougars, the home team, leading by a margin of 12-7. One more time, the replay of the attempted 2-point conversion that failed. Now here's the Cougar kickoff. It's taken at about the 16-yard line. They bring it back to the middle of the field. They get it out to the 34. So from the 34-yard line, it will be 1st and 10 for the Saxons, who for the first time this evening find themselves on the short end of the score by a margin of 12-7. Sounds like they're calling their name over the house announcer. I'm hearing hot dogs, popcorn, sodas, you call it. That must mean we're getting close to halftime. Cougars now on defense, wanting to protect this lead. Gaines drops back to pass, hits its receiver, his number 10. His number 10 picks up about 9 yards. Ball comes loose, but he was already down, so that's not even near a fumble. Of course, that's Jeff Gray, the 5'11", 170-pound senior.
Rufus, that's the first time we've seen the Saxon star wideout Jeff Gray catch a pass so far this game. The highly touted wideout has been pretty much a non-factor so far for the Saxons offense, and he's finally got himself in the game.
2nd and short for the Saxons. They're out at the Cougar 44. They keep it on the ground this time, pick up the first down as they take it out to the 40, let's call it the 48-yard line. 3:52 left in the first half. Cougars leading by a margin of 12-7. Saxons, however, now have the ball. They've already picked up 1 first down on this drive. They're looking for a momentum swing, Scott, if they can get one here late in the first half. Of course, Cougars looking for a big defensive momentum swing by being able to hold them. Here's a pitch back to Banks. Banks comes across the middle. This time they hold the damage to 2 yards as Banks gets the ball right to midfield. Make it a 2nd down and 8 now for the Saxons.
And that's the side that the Saxons are going to want to run the ball to, is that left side where they have their star guard, number 72, Robert Gustavus, who is very, very highly touted. Actually just got offered a scholarship to Oregon State within this last week.
2nd down play. They pump fake. Now he goes long. Lays the ball up there. And actually, although intended for Gray, the Cougar defenders were a lot closer on that play than was the Saxon receiver. Back defending for the Cougars was number 8, of course, Richard Badamana.
So Silva there once again was looking for Gray. Overthrew him just a little bit.
Over the next couple of weeks, fans, Cougars have North Torrance coming in next week. Then they go to Santa Monica. Then they go to Redondo, and they close out their season at Lusinger, or hosting Lusinger, I should say. Once again, dropping back to pass. Here's the pressure. That's going to be an illegal grounding right there. We're waiting for the flags. Now the flags come in.
That actually might have been a good decision for Silva, as he would end up losing more yards if he didn't chuck that one on the ball. That sack would have set him back almost 20 yards, Rufus.
Well, it's certainly going to be a loss of down, and we'll see how they assess the penalty here. The ball currently sitting right at the midfield stripe. It'll be 4th down coming up. And they're moving it back to the 40. Well, actually, the way they assess this, Scott, is that they assess it from the location in which he threw the ball. So it's a loss of down, and the ball does move back to the 34-yard line. They need to get to the 42 for a 1st down, so it's 4th and a whole bunch.
And a whole bunch is the right word for that one.
So they're going to kick on it, so the Cougars defense comes up with the play it was looking for. Cougar offense will have a chance to put more points on the board as they're going to get the ball with over 2 minutes left. That kick is up. It's a short kick. Cougars need to stay away from it. And they do. It's finally down at the 34. So from their own 34-yard line with 2:42 left in the first half here at Hellcat Field, the Cougars of Hawthorne High School nursing a 12-7 lead.
Rufus, that was a great decision there by the Saxon special teams as they opted out to kick that ball off to the sideline and not give Thomas Brown another chance to kill him on a return.
So 1st and 10 for the Cougars from their own 34-yard line. Here's a snap. Out of the shotgun formation for them. This pass thrown behind the intended receiver. And, of course, that was number 6, Brian Goodall. Badamana rushed that one a little bit.
Yeah, Badamana had Goodall wide open as Goodall beat his defender out the line. And that could have been an easy 1st down pickup for the Cougars there, but instead it's going to 2nd down and 10.
I want to thank the Cougar athletic staff when we arrived, and there we see a shot of the moon. Is that a green moon? Man, I know we're getting close to Halloween season, but I'm not sure I've ever seen a green moon before. Here's the pass over the middle. That reception is made by number 21. That's going to give the Cougars excellent field position down at the 34-yard line. Looks where they want to spot it at, where it's going to be 1st and 10, 2:30 left here in the first half. Clock stops on the 1st down. Cougars want to execute their hurry-up offense here. Looks like they're going to a 2-minute drill with 2.5 minutes left as we look at the replay. That time the quarterback, or pitching the ball for the Cougars, was Raheem Stevens. So we've seen a quarterback change here. Scott not paying close attention. Batmana is out as quarterback, and Stevens is in. Stevens that time is dragged down right at the line of scrimmage.
And we see a quarterback change here, a la Steve Spurrier for the Hawthorne High Cougars. And this could be a good decision, as from what I'm told, the Cougars' offense runs a lot more steadily in the no-huddle with Stevens at the helm at quarterback.
Stevens again out of the shotgun. Stevens throws it out here in the flat. He hits number 6's receiver, who's driven out of bounds at about the 27-yard line. Brian Goodall.
What I've been told, Rufus, 2 weeks ago, I believe, in the Cougars game against Peninsula High, they were down by 30-plus points and came back to only lose by 3 points, and that was in due part to the Cougars running the no-huddle offense in the fourth quarter, and I believe putting up 28 points just in the fourth quarter, and that got them close and almost pulled out the victory for them, and they had Stevens running that no-huddle that game. So that might be why they instilled Stevens right here to end this second quarter, pardon me.
Stevens this time steps under center. They've got a lone back in the backfield. They hand it off to keep it on the ground to Brown. Brown with some running with Brown coming around the right side. Brown driven out of bounds now. But not until after he picks up the first down as he gets down to the 12-yard line.
Great running there by Brown as he looked to take it up the middle. Couldn't find any holes as we get a look at the replay here. Couldn't find a hole. Ended up taking it towards the sideline. Made a great move on number 35. Ran up the sidelines, and he picked up the first down there for the Cougars. And when you look at this defense that the Saxons have been playing on this drive for the Cougars, they've been playing the prevent defense. Now they're adding it up and putting more men up in the box. So they were playing the prevent. And the old saying is sometimes that prevent defense prevents you from winning.
Cougars send a man in motion to keep it on the ground. They hand it off to number 31. This time, Tuifua not able to gain much on the play. And we're going to have a timeout taken by the Cougars with 1:31 left here in the first half. Cougars have the ball, second and about 9. They are at the 14-yard line. Need to get inside the 5 for the first down. So, Scott, a very well-played contest, again, by the Cougars. Cougars here with a big opportunity to add to their 12-7 lead and take control of this football game going in at halftime.
Yeah, they have a great opportunity to get a pretty decent lead here going in the half. This is the Cougar team that most critics and people expected to see coming into the season, as they were ranked number 9 in Division III, I believe. Coming in, they were ranked pretty high, and they were expected to make some noise here so far, and they've yet to do so this season. But that's not to knock them, as they played 5 very strong opponents throughout this Southern California area. They did not have a single game on their their non-league schedule that was of ease.
You're right. They played Loyola. They played Jordan. They played Crenshaw, Peninsula, and Miracosta. They fake the pass here. The pass is to the right side, and now we're going to have flags against the Cougars, and this is going to be intentional grounding call against Stevens. And except for 1 or 2 big plays, I got to be honest with you, this quarterback move, while we won't say it's backfired, the Cougar offense has not moved quite as fluidly as it did when Badamana was in there running things. I think guys get in a rhythm with a certain guy, and they know what they're doing. And although Stevens had been the quarterback for several weeks, they were in a decent little rhythm there with Badamana, and that rhythm was disrupted.
That could be the case here, as now the Cougars have themselves in a bit of a hole.
Well, they got a 3rd and long. They're out at the 26-yard line. They need to get to the 4, so it's a 3rd and 22 to say the least, passing down. Here's a pass over the middle. Touchdown! Well, that's why Raheem Stevens is in there. That touchdown to number 6, it looked like in the program, and number 6, of course, is Brian Goodall.
That was a well-timed, well-executed pass there by Stevens. Perfect timing there. As Goodall caught that one right across the middle as we get.
Okay, so the Cougars extend their lead to 18-7 now, Scott. Nice 11-point margin. That means it would take 2 scores minimally for the Saxons to get back in it. But more importantly, on the touchdown pass from Stevens to Love, Cougars got something going.
The Cougars, for the first time this year, it looks like are going to go into the locker room at halftime with a lead.
Well, that's the way it should be, and here they, on the return, they get the ball out to the 26-yard line with 1:07 left. The Saxons will go on offense. Cougars still have 2 timeouts in the bank. All right, fans, let's look at the touchdown pass once again from Stevens to Love. All right. There you see it again right there. Excellent, excellent play by the Cougar offense. Pass batted up in the air and knocked away. That, of course, will, incompletion should stop the clock, and it does at the 1:03 mark.
It's a great play there by Hector Garces, the interior lineman there, as he got a hand up right in time to deflect that pass by Silva.
So it'll be a 2nd down and 10 now for the Saxons. I think if the Cougars get a stop on this play, particularly if it's a running down, they may elect to start using those timeouts because they'll have a chance to get the ball back and take a couple of pitches at the end zone themselves. Here's the pump right here. Here's the pass out in the flat. Let's see. They're going to say no. That was trapped. Incompletion as well. That's another stoppage of the clock at the 52-second mark.
As we get a look at this replay here, and Silva's pass came up just a little bit short to Gray. We couldn't get a good view of that one, but I'm sure the referee did, and he's saying that Gray trapped that pass there. So we're moving to 3rd and 10 here for the Saxons.
3rd and 10, big 3rd down play for the Saxons. I drop back. Here's the pass over the middle, and it's incomplete. So the Saxons are going to go 3 and out, and the Cougars with 48 seconds on the clock, Scott, going to get another shot here in the first half to put more points on the board.
Yes, they are already up 18-7. They're going to look to capitalize on this great defensive stand that their defense had right here. And might I bring up, Rufus, they have Thomas Brown in the backfield ready to return this punt. Somewhat similar to what we seen last year with the Cougars and Courtney Barden returning punts for him.
Exactly.
You never knew what to expect.
Here's the kick. Nearly blocked. Excellent kick. Brown with it. Brown heads up the middle. Now he cuts to the outside, has some running room. Cuts it back inside, now turns around. Doesn't want to use up all the clock, though. Finally taken down, so the clock will stop on the change of possession at 38 seconds with the Cougars at the 44-yard line of the Saxons. And the Cougars here, Scott, definitely have a chance to add to their 18 points.
Yes, they do, Rufus. And once again, the Cougars are starting off with good field positions. We get a look at this replay here. And once again, Brown with a superb punt return as he takes this one up the sideline. And hats off to Brown, as you will never see him run the ball out of bounds. He's always looking for that extra yardage. Sometimes it could kill him, and sometimes it's a plus. And that time, it could have been a minus, as he could have picked up a couple extra yards if he just ran it straight ahead and out of bounds. But you can't knock him for that, as he's always looking to come up with a big play.
Okay, the Cougars show their passing set. They've got 5 guys out in the formation. Stevens looks. Stevens needs to let go. Stevens still has it. Stevens is going to be dropped for a loss at the 50-yard line. And now we're going to get a timeout being taken by the Cougars with 27 seconds left.
And we finally got a chance for the Saxon star lineman, Robert Gustavus, to make a big play in this game. And there he was. We mentioned him earlier, as he's been looked at by several universities and state colleges. And there he was, finally coming up, as he's led the Saxons defense so far this year with, I believe, 4 sacks. Gustavus is also ranked, I believe, in the top 30 throughout the western half of the United States in the category of offensive defensive linemen.
So the Cougar crowd starting to fill in just a little bit here. Decent sized crowd, and they're being entertained to a good game tonight. Of course, winning has a way of bringing folks out. If the Cougars are able to tack up a W tonight, the bandwagon will get just a little bit bigger, kind of like that Anaheim Angel bandwagon. This time they look downfield, and this one's going to be intercepted by the Saxons. They've got a chance. They're running. Cougars now looking to make the stop, and Stevens does make the stop, but not until after number 21, whom, again, one of the few guys we don't have in the program tonight, but that's because the Saxons didn't provide us with a printed roster. We had to make do by getting as many as we could. But at any rate, that's neither here nor there. What is here and there is the fact that with 13 seconds left, it is the Saxon football. So Cougars had an opportunity there late, weren't able to capitalize on it. So they go back on defense now, and what they want to do these next 13 seconds, Scott, is protect that 18-7 lead.
Yes, that's true, Rufus. Despite turning the ball over now twice, the Cougars have that 18-7 lead, and they need to maintain it going into halftime. They don't want to let go of any of this momentum and give it away to the Saxons. The Saxons will capitalize on momentum if the Cougars give them the opportunity.
Well, now the Saxons have shown they do have a bit of a kicking game, so they've got a couple of options that they can go with. My guess, though, is that they'll take these 13 seconds to take a couple of shots at the end zone. Yeah. However, if the Cougars drop back, which they are showing a portion of prevent, they may take the underneath play and get in field goal position. Cougars dropping way back to defend. They send a pass rusher. There's the pass. It's up in the air. Everybody goes up for it, and incomplete is the indication. 7 seconds left, so they did take at least one shot, not quite into the end zone, but they took it deep. That would have been close enough. So they've got time for perhaps one more play here.
This could be Hail Mary time. On that last play, Jeff Gray did get both hands on that ball. Looked like it just fell out of his hands, either that or the Cougar backfield defender got his hand on it and knocked it out of his hands.
Well, number 84, Mike Shelton, was bearing down on Silva, and just as Silva let it go, he hit him.
That he was. Shelton just beat number 33 on the Saxons offensive line.
Yeah. Silva just barely got it off before he was hit by Shelton. Shelton has some good size. We may see him on the basketball team. He's 6'4". There's another pass over the middle. That one's incomplete. 2 seconds left here in the first half now.
And once again on that play, Shelton came pretty close to getting the sack there on Silva.
And we had a flag on the play. The referee gives the indication that it's a procedure penalty against North.
So the Saxons are going to have 2 seconds left to muster up something before going to the locker rooms for the halftime.
I think they're asking them what they want. It looks like the Cougars are going to decline it, and that'll bring up a third down. Well, you can't carry the timeouts over, so the Saxons extend our half by another 90 seconds with the timeout. They've got it. They elect to use it. There are 2 seconds left. It's always funny. The timeout is actually longer than the time left on the clock. There we see some of the fans in the stands here tonight cheering on tonight's contest.
So what do you think the Saxons coaching staff is going in and telling their troops in the locker room this half. What do they need to do in the second half to get themselves back in this ball game?
Well, I think they got to keep doing what they started out doing. One, of course, they got to mix it up just a little more. You got to take great advantage of some of Silva's abilities, and you got to let him throw the ball a little bit. They got run happy with Banks. Cougar defense figured that out, and all of a sudden Banks was no longer a factor. Oh, he burned them a little bit early on, but after they saw that they were a one-act play, boom, they stopped them. I would guess a passing down here, you throw it up and you wait to see what happens. There's Shelton again. Here's a pass out in the flat. It goes up and it's still alive. Looks like it was intercepted by the Cougars. They're going to say that Badamana came up with the interception. That'll end the first half, however. And at halftime, here at Halcap Field on Hawthorne's Community Cable Channel 22, folks, the Cougars of Hawthorne are enjoying an 18-7 lead. We're going to take a break for a halftime, and we'll join you at the beginning of the second half right here on Hawthorne's Community Cable Channel 22. All right, fans, we're back for a second half action here on Hawthorne's Community Cable Channel 22. Second half kickoff just about underway. The Saxons of North Torrance, who right now trail by a score of 18-7, will be kicking off to our own Hawthorne Cougars. Cougars had a big first half. For them, as you noted, Scott, first time this season, I believe, that they've gone in at halftime with a lead.
That is true, and it also is their first Bailey Ocean League game. So this could be a good sign of things to come, as if they get on the right track in the Ocean League, they could do so with the rest of the teams too, as the first 5 games were pretty rough as they played some high caliber teams, so it would have been pretty tough anyways to go into the locker room at halftime with a lead, even if they did play superb games, as they were playing some of the best teams throughout the state of California.
Right now you've got a situation upstairs you're trying to get corrected. We know that the clock is correct. So we're simply waiting for the indication from the field judge to get things underway. They're sending another guy across the field now. They had just sent one Cougar across. But at any rate, while we wait for that, let's talk about the fact that the Cougars do have an 18-7 lead. And as you may have told the fans, next week we'll be back here on Lawndale's Community. Lawndale. I knew I was going to do it sooner or later. Boy, and I was trying hard. Okay, here's the kickoff. And Brown has it, number 10. Brown, who was most of the offense for them in the first half, certainly set up most of the plays, brings it out to the 32-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Cougars to start the third quarter.
So as the Saxons defense comes out on the field, their main job here the second half is going to be to contain Hawthorne's halfback, Thomas Brown, as he's had a superb first half. We'll see what they can do.
We'll recap first half scoring right after this play. Now, as we pay closer attention to the quarterback, we see that Badamana is backing their quarterback. They operate out of the eye, hit right at the line of scrimmage was Brown, and driven back. They're going to give us forward progress, maybe half a yard on the play. Talking about first half action, the Saxons jumped on top early at the 3:40 mark of the first quarter on a 3-yard run by Banks. They converted the kick. Cougars didn't get on the board to the second quarter. First play of the second quarter on a 30-yard TD run by Tuifua. Their extra point attempt was no good, so they trailed by a margin of 6-0. However, they would score twice more, and we'll give you that in just a second. But right now, let's look at this Cougar play as Brown keeps it on the ground. and another tough yard that they eke out. So it's going to be a 3rd and 8 for the Cougars here in the early going of the third quarter. We're just under 11 minutes. To conclude my comment on the first half scoring, at the 4:52 mark, Badamana had a 1-yard touchdown run. Once again, the 2-point conversion attempt failed. And then at the 1:13 mark, a 22-yard touchdown pass from Stevens to Love, which was set up by the big punt return by Brown, which got him in scoring position. So as he took it from the 30 to the 30. So that was a 40-yard punt return, put him in good field position. They capitalized on it. But right now, here in the third quarter, it's a 3rd and 8 for the Cougars. They keep the ball on the ground. That's Brown with the run. Brown has a first down. He cuts back this way. Can he turn it up? And they string him. Well, they're going to say he was down anyway. So there's no fun. Will be Cougar football. However, the Cougars have been just a tad sloppy, Scott, with the football.
That is true. They've had 2 turnovers in the first half. But that was superb running there by Thomas Brown, as he has been finding the gaps and holes throughout the offensive line throughout this game. As we get a look at this replay here, takes it straight up the middle, follows one of his blockers, keeps it up the middle, then cuts to the side once he sees number 32. And as we see up here, he's going to get tripped up by an ankle tackle here by Kyle Pond. And him and Pond have been meeting up frequently so far here this game.
And actually, that ball did come out before he went down. This time, with an excellent run, turning up the right corner before he's finally driven out of bounds. And we're going to have a flag come in for unnecessary roughness. That's Alex Gaines. And they're going to tack on probably another 15 yards onto that, Scott.
Saxon's putting themselves even in a bigger hole here, as the Cougars are getting a pretty impressive drive going here to start off the second half. Those are the types of mistakes that the Saxons coaching staff just gringes their teeth at.
Yeah, you see the personal foul indication against the Saxons. Now, first and 10 for the Cougars from the 30-yard line. Badamana keeping it. They keep it on the ground. He gives it to, or I should say he gave it to Brown. Brown stopped for a loss on that play.
If I were the Saxons coaching staff, basically you got to try to put a spy on Thomas Brown throughout the game. Have one key guy, follow him around wherever he goes. That way, somewhat, it'll push his running game, not to the point where he'll just be penetrating the line every single down.
Here, third quarter action, fans. 8:50 and some change left here in the third quarter. First drive of the third quarter, quite frankly. Cougars received it, obviously, and they are looking to capitalize here in excellent field position.
The ball popped loose.
The ball is loose. It's on the ground, and the indication is that the Saxons have it. So there's a turnover by the Cougars. So a drive that showed a lot of promise stalls for the Cougars.
And this could be exactly the type of play that the Saxons use to boost them back in this ball game. As we get that fumble there, they sat around there on the ground for a while, went through a couple players' hands, and finally a Saxon offensive lineman picked it up. It looked like number 72, Robert Gustavus, their star defensive lineman, picked that one up.
Now we got flags on the play. This will be Cougars with too many men on the field, it would appear.
As we get a look at the Saxons offensive line there, as we see number 72, Robert Gustavus, in the upper right-hand corner.
And that's the indication. Too many men on the field, 5-yard penalty, make it a 1st and 5 now for the Saxons. They've got the ball at the 36-yard line. Backs are split. They drop back. Here's the pass over in the flat. The reception's made, and it's good for about 4 yards on the play, make it a 2nd and 1.
Rufus, you think being that Gustavus is such a big presence on that left side of the Saxons offensive line, that you predominantly run the ball to that left side, but so far they haven't been taking advantage of it so far this game.
Well, not yet. Maybe that's their secret weapon there. Keep it in check. Now we've got the officials stop. Looked like they indicated stop the clock. The hometown clock management as the clock continues to run. Finally stopped at the 7:52 mark. So, hometown clock runs about 10 extra seconds off before they get it stopped on the referee's measurement. Looked like it was going to be short. Let's see how.
Looks like the ump gave a signal about half a foot short, Rufus.
Well, they're going to bring it out to midfield. We'll see if that crack channel 22 camera crew can get in there. Looks like when it's all said and done, they're about 3 or 4 chain links short, as the ref gives the indication that it's a 2nd down. 2nd down to about 3 chain links. It doesn't get much closer than that, Scott. Quarterback keeper, they pick up the 1st down easily as Silva takes it out to near midfield. They're going to put him down at the 49-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Saxons. This drive, of course, set up by the Cougar turnover. There you see Silva picking up the 1st down on that carry. Cougars with only 3 down linemen. There's some rush. Shelton with the rush gets a hand up there. They sack him on the play. No flag. There was a hand up around the face, but apparently not enough to draw the flag from either the referee, who's sitting back there watching the play come at him, or the side judge.
That has been the major dilemma so far this game for the North High Saxons. They've yet to give Silva any protection in the backfield, as he's being sacked on numerous occasions. When he's not being sacked, he's definitely being pressured.
10-yard loss on that play.
You're going to have to give him protection too, as they are basically forced to pass now, being that they're already down by 9 points.
So it's a 2nd and about 20. That pass is incomplete, as that was short hopped to the receiver. That was Gray the ball was intended for. Gray went out about 10 yards. The ball only went 9 yards.
Pardon me, I said they were down by 9 points. They were down by 11 points.
I know. I knew that El Camino education would step to the fore.
Sooner or later. That time it was later than sooner.
Our good friend Scott, student at El Camino, though, working his way on up to another institution as he pursues a career in sports broadcast. And one day, I'll be calling Scott, I don't know about you guys, for tickets to a World Series or some other event that I know he'll be covering down the way. We'll certainly go to the old Remember Me card. That pass incomplete, brings up a 4th down. So the Cougar defense holds. The turnover doesn't bite them this time. And they'll have a chance to get it back as Brown drops back to receive the punt. Brown's going to set up at about his own 27-yard line. Well, he's coming up to the 30-yard line. Plants his feet squarely on the 30. The punter looking to kick from about the 25.
So, Rufus, do you kick to him or do you just kick it to the sidelines? What do you do?
Well, considering the trouble he's been, I think I'm like you. I might keep this one away from him. You're already in a big enough hole. And that's a high snap. Nearly gets by him. This time, they are going to kick it to him. Kick it short now. Not sure about that decision. He gets away with it. I might have let that ball go. That's a lot of traffic. First of all, when you do pick it up, there's nobody there. And as soon as you touch it, you become live to hit. Brown gets away with it that time, no, so no damage done. And the Cougars start at their own 30-yard line. This is their second possession of the third quarter. We've got 6:32 left in the third. Cougars leading by a margin of 18-7. This time in the backfield, number 44, there's Tupe. Tupe blocking, of course, for Brown. Brown breaks the line, gets 12 on the play, so that's good enough for a first down. And although we don't have a statistician working with us tonight, Scott, I think I've watched enough to know 100 yards when I see it.
Yes.
And I think Brown is obviously well over 100 yards and probably is approaching over 200 all-purpose yards tonight.
That is definitely true.
Once again, Tupe 44, the blocking back. Let's see, and that's what he does, except Brown doesn't use the block. He goes outside, now cuts it back inside, but once again, he breaks off for another. This gain is almost 20 yards. So now he's at West Torrance territory at the 40. Let's look at him again. Tupe, you see, goes right up the middle. Of course, he draws some of the defenders because they think he's blocking for Brown. Brown goes around him, brought down by number 7, Greg Smith, and some other Saxons along the way. Right now, Cougars, though, with this running game, controlling the clock as they eat up valuable time. Out of the eye. This time they give it to 34 as Brown takes a break, and he doesn't do too bad himself. Looks like he's going to pick up 5, maybe 6 on the carry. That, of course, is Alex Gaines.
Alex Gaines has been filling in pretty nicely when Thomas Brown goes to the sidelines for his well-deserved breathers. As we get a look at him pounding this one up the middle, follows the lead block of 44. And ends up getting stuffed up by number 24, number 1, to bring him down after about a 8-yard gain there.
So it's a second down. They're calling it 5. Looks more like 6 to me, though. So it's a long 5. Once again, keeping it on the ground. And going to be near first down. Looks like they're going to be a couple of yards shy. Well, let's see. No, they're saying it is a first down. We couldn't quite tell from our angle. But as they move the chains, that's always an indication that it's a first down.
Y'all got to be smart, all right? All right? All right, on 3, I want y'all to say be smart. On 3, on 3. 1, 2, 3, be smart. Let's go.
All right. You hear the Cougar defense there getting a little bit of encouragement from the coaching staff, being told to be smart. That's Brown, who was brought down on that play. Brown brought down in a hurry that time by the Saxon defense, Scott.
Yes, that is a change from what's been going on so far this game. You got to wonder at what point did the Saxons coaching staff start stacking about 8 guys up in the box, because they have yet to find any solution to stop this Hawthorne Cougar running game.
Ball at the 28-yard line. It's a 2nd and 9 for the Cougars. Brown again with the carry. Brown breaks through the containment. Brown picks up the first down as he takes it inside the 20, or at least it looks like enough for the first down from our vantage point, and I believe it's going to be enough. The officiating crew will take a look.
When you watch Brown, as we get a replay, there's Brown taking that right up the middle. Once again, doing a superb job, following blockers, breaks a few tackles, and finally gets drugged down by about 4 Saxon defenders after picking up that first down. When you watch him run, not only does he have phenomenal speed, quickness, he also has great ability to break tackles.
Okay, so they say it was about a foot short, so it's a 3rd and short. This time on the carry. Should be enough for it. I won't go into the Miss Cleo game. I'm going to just wait and see.
That is a close call, but when you look at the Saxons defense on that play, they did a superb job of breaking through the Hawthorne Cougar offensive line, as we see number 24, Anthony Banks, come over from the left side of the defensive line to get to that backfield and wrap up Brown before he got to that first down marker, what looks to be before. We'll see the call here.
Well, as you can see, they are bringing the chains out. First down is the indication from the referee. But it was by the thinness of margins, I can tell you that. But a first down nonetheless, as the clock rose under 2.5 left here in the third. No scoring thus far, Scott, but the Cougars content to rest on that 18-7 lead. I know they're feeling like, hey, if we could get one more, we may just have put this thing out of reach.
And they sure are eating up the clock here in the third quarter. They've taken up about half of the 12 minutes that are given per quarter.
Badamana rolling out. Badamana looking to pass. Badamana makes the pass. And they're going to see it's intercepted. Now it's down. And with the interception, the ball is returned out to the 14-yard line. So another turnover.
Yes,
and we've seen a bunch in this game. I'm sorry, Scott, please go ahead.
No problem. That could be the knife to the heart here for the Cougars if they were to relinquish this lead. As Badamana, as we see on this replay, fakes the handoff, play action, rolls out to the left side. He has an option of running or passing it, as he had no one in front of him here. Actually, he had 54. And he decides to let loose with that ball, and he ends up getting picked off by number 24, Anthony. No, pardon me, is that number 7? That was number 7. Greg Smith comes up with an interception.
Saxons come out, keeping the ball on the ground. That, of course, with the carry for them was Banks.
So as we've seen on that turnover play, Rufus, Cougars went away from that ground attack, ends up biting them in the behind.
Well, it's a luxury. Well, no coach likes turnovers, but I tell you, when you're leading and it's late in the third, it's a luxury you can't afford. And quite frankly, it was deep in Saxon territory. Although they were looking to score, if they had been held, it might have been as good as a punt. Here's a pass in the air. That reception is made, and the receiver's still on his feet, still going, finally brought down, but not until he gets inside Cougar territory at the Cougar 45-yard line.
And that play all started, Rufus, because for one of the first times this game, Silva actually dropped back in the pocket and had a decent amount of time. He had 5+ seconds to get rid of that ball once he dropped back. And sure enough, he found their star wideout, Jeff Gray. And that's the man they need to get the ball to if they're going to get back in this game. As a look, he drops back, guns it about 40 yards downfield. And there's Gray with the reception. He ends up beating 2 tacklers for the Cougars. And finally ends up getting wrapped down after running for about 10 yards after the catch.
And here's a pass, what looked like it was intended to be a screen. The pass, rare pass to Banks, goes for about 8 yards when it's all said and done, as it's down to the 36-yard line of the Cougars. Drive started at the 45. So it'll be a 2nd down and 2 for the Saxons. Right now trailing by a margin of 18-0, and that's the end of the third quarter. So we have a scoreless third quarter. However, the Saxons have the ball courtesy of 2 Cougar turnovers in that quarter, an interception and a fumble. They failed to convert on the fumble, but now they're taking this interception and making some noise with it.
Yes, they are. They're pretty deep in Cougar territory. And if they were to put some points on the board, they will be right back in this game. Whether they kick a field goal or score a touchdown, they will be within one touchdown of the Cougars.
Well, that's where they stand. Of course, as we get ready to start fourth quarter action, our score, Cougars 18, Saxons of North Torrance 7. Fans, while you're watching this, in case you're wondering to yourself, well, when can I see the game on TV? We'll tell you when you can see it on TV right now. Contest will be shown on Sunday, October 20th, 11:04 a.m. on Channel 22 Sports. Then it will repeat during the week on Tuesday, October 22nd at 7, and on Wednesday, October 23rd at 10 in the morning. So, tune in to Hawthorne Channel 22 for the best in South Bay high school sports. There's a pass out in the flat. The reception is made. Nice tackle by, it looks like Goodall who made the tackle. I tell you, that 6 and that 5 are so close. You got to look at it twice to make sure you're calling out the right number. That was Goodall with the tackle, however, but not until the ball gets inside the Cougar 20-yard line. Let's Scott call a replay.
As we see right here, number 42 runs on the flank. Pardon me, I don't have a name on him. Runs straight down the sideline and getting clipped at the ankles by number 6 Goodall. Goodall with a superb tackle. That's what you like to see out of your defensive players. Go lower body and not try to tackle up high. And looks like
can't quite see whom they're attending to now. It looks like they're off on the sideline, however, as the ref signals the ball's in play. Fans, we're in the fourth quarter. Scoreboard shows 3. Fourth quarter up there. Silva drops back to pass. Silva's pass in the flat goes out to number 42. And he turns the corner, gets inside the 10. Looks like he may have enough for the first down. Our angle a bit skewed from this side of the field.
Well, Rufus, that was exactly the same play as that last play, but on the opposite side of the field. So 43 runs out on the flank, catches a pass, and this time picks up the first down. So it's going to be a 1st and goal for the Saxons, who are looking to notch their way back in this game. As we see this reception here, pardon me, that's 42. Same play, different side of the field. And once again, superb ankle tackling there by number 15 for the Cougars, Fonte Quinn.
Good call, Scott. We've got a stoppage in play on the field.
I believe the Cougars called the timeout there as Coach French heading out there to try to regroup the Cougars defense and prevent the Saxons from getting in their own end zone.
That timeout gives us another opportunity to tell you that this broadcast is produced in conjunction with Hawthorne Community Cable TV, Channel 22. As we mentioned, Larry Bender is in charge of cable over there, works with our crew over here in Lawndale. Time Warner and Don Todd and his crew also working with us tonight. So through the help of a lot of friends and neighbors, we're able to bring these broadcasts to you. And as always, it's a pleasure, and we hope you enjoy them. 1st and goal now inside the 10 for the Saxons. Cougars trying to hold on. They give it to Banks, number 24. Banks gets down inside the 5-yard line. Boy, he's awfully close to the goal line. They're going to spot this at the 2. So it'll be 2nd down from the 2 for the Saxons. Scott.
Let's get a replay here. Hand off to Banks. He takes it straight up the hole. Superb blocking by the offensive line and gets stopped just short of the Cougars' goal line.
Once again, to keep it on the ground. This time the Cougars stop it. Should be a 3rd and goal coming up. Early here in the 4th quarter. Saxons with an opportunity to score here, and they're right back in the game. Cougars will be kicking themselves for the missed opportunities in the 3rd quarter due to turnovers, Scott.
True. Score here will get this ball game a whole new look.
Quarterback keeps Silva, keeps it, and the indication, 2-yard touchdown run by Silva. Let's call it 1 yard to be exact. at the 10:29 mark, and all of a sudden, we've got renewed interest in this ball game.
Yes, we do, Rufus. As now we have the North High Saxons down only by 5, and we get a look at that quarterback sneak there by Mr. Johnny Silva as he puts it in for 6. And you got to expect the Saxons to go for 2, being that they're down by 5. If they make this 2-point conversion, if they do go for it, they will be within a field goal of the Hawthorne High Cougars, and sure enough, they're going for 2, and they're in the I formation.
And this is one of those mathematical decisions. There's certain points in the game by virtue of the score where it only makes sense to go for 2 because the 1 doesn't help you. That one's batted away. They went for it through the air. Most teams at this level take it on the ground, but they opted to go in the air. The 2-point conversion, no good. So that makes our score 18-13. However, that puts the touchdown in effect for them.
Yes, it does. So the Saxons cannot gain the lead with a field goal. They're going to have to get a score. They're going to have to put it in the Cougars' end zone to get a lead over the Hawthorne High Cougars. And now they're giving the ball right back to the Cougars. And the Saxons have had a pretty tough time holding this Cougar offensive attack. The predominant amount of times they have stopped them was due to Hawthorne Cougar mistakes via interception or via fumble.
All right, well, the Cougars are holding themselves right now by virtue of the turnovers that we've talked about. Here's the kickoff. It's a good deep kickoff. Brown's going to take it. Brown out at the 20, looking for some running room. Cuts back to the middle. Has some room around this way. Oh, he gets a decent block there that opens up some of the field. Cuts it back inside, looking for some room. Big number 35 finally brings him down, but not until Brown gets it down to the 30-yard line.
And Rufus, when you talk about an X factor in the game, you have to bring up Thomas Brown.
You absolutely do. That was a 60-yard kickoff return, maybe even a little more. As a matter of fact, it was a little bit more than that because there's the 10. That was close to a 70-yard kickoff return there, Scott.
Yes, it was. We get a look at this replay. Took it straight up the middle, beat one tackler, and then took it straight to the sideline. We've seen them do it a lot this game. Take it to the middle and then head for the sideline. Puts a great move on number 16, who I believe is a kicker. Follows his blocker and finally gets tripped up at about the 35-yard line. What a superb return there for Thomas Brown.
With Brown catching a break, handling the carrying duties is Alex Gaines. Gaines picks up a couple yards on the play. Exactly the kind of play the Cougar offense needed. Once again, they're in excellent field position. These are the kind of things, Scott, you got to be able to take advantage of right now. Brown has set you up perfectly. It's up to the rest of the guys to take it the rest of the way.
Definitely. And you got to think that the Cougar staff is calling nothing but run plays straight to Thomas Brown to eat up a better portion of this clock here in the fourth quarter.
But they give it to him again. This time it's a short gain on the play. This guy's got a lot of energy and a lot of stamina. I tell you, I'm tired already at this point in the game just from watching him so much. God, I can't imagine how he feels, but apparently he's ready to go. I mean, guy breaks off a 60-yard kickoff return run, takes one play breather, and he's back in there.
He's been doing it all tonight for the Cougars. Punt returns, kick returns, running it. You name it, he's done it.
The virtues of being young. Again, they give it to Brown. This time he's looking for room, cuts it back inside. Looks like it's going to be a little bit short of the first down, maybe a yard. I don't know. Well, they're saying are they going to measure? Nope, they're going to move the chains. So he's not short at all. Picks up enough for the first. Clock continues to roll. We've got 8:40 left in the contest. Cougars right now. As we watch the replay here.
As we get a look at replay there. And Brown once again with another superb run and gets wrapped up after picking up the first down by number 25, Ryan Keith.
Bonamana still in at quarterback. Bonamana gives it off to Brown. Brown cuts up the middle. Brown running. Brown reverses field. Comes back right. We got ourselves a touchdown. That's
great
a
run.
20-yard touchdown run for Brown. That drive was all Brown all the way, except for the play that he took a breather on. He gained virtually every yard on that possession, Scott.
Yes, Thomas Brown. It's hard to say one player could single-handedly win the game, but if you were to give that to anyone, it's been Thomas Brown this game. As we've seen it happen once again, he takes it straight up the middle, reverses fields, ends up taking it down the sideline, and this time it went for 6 points. And now the Cougars are on top of the North High Saxons, 24-13, and are looking to kick an extra point to knot it up to 25.
Cougars now put the extra point attempt up, and it's good. So, with the extra point, the Cougars now lead by a score of 25-13 over the Saxons.
So right as North High Saxons got back in this ball game, Rufus, the Hawthorne Cougars came back with an answer, and that was Thomas Brown with that big kickoff return and with those big runs. And as you mentioned before, Rufus, we brought it up about 100-plus total yards. I think it's moved up to 200, and it might be nearing 300. We're going to include the kickoff and the punt returns.
I think you're exactly right, Scott. I'll be interested to see the official stats tomorrow, but you definitely, I mean, obviously he's up around the 300-yard category in total offense for the night. Only thing he hasn't done that I can see is complete a pass.
Don't speak too soon. You never know.
You got that right. So the Cougars setting up the kickoff. And here it is. Ball goes right down the middle, taken by one of the upbacks at the 15. Brings it out to the 20. Want to get a stop here. Don't want to give it back too soon. Make them work for it. Cougar special teams, bit of a letdown there as they let them bring it out to the 44-yard line where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Saxons. Just a tad over 6 minutes left here in the in the contest.
As you see Gray there with the kickoff return. Good return, and that's the man the Saxons wanted to put the ball in his hands throughout this game, but they've only done it a couple times, and it might have been hurting the productivity of the Saxons offense.
Silver dropping back to pass. Silver's going to be sacked. Cougar defense, Cougar special teams giveth, Cougar defense taketh away. As they sack him back at the 35-yard line. Loss of 10 on the play.
And we get the replay here. Big-time penetration by the Hawthorne Cougar defensive line. And a big sack came up there, but I believe David Bolus with the sack there.
Referees generously make it a loss of 8 rather than 10, so it makes it a 2nd down and 18 now. Silva once again dropping back to pass. Pass completed over in the flat. Gets near the original line of scrimmage.
Actually, I believe that one was dropped. We're going to go to 3rd down. And we're still about 18 yards away from the 1st down. And if you were to write a story on the North High Saxons offense against a Hawthorne Cougars defense, you'd have to say it's been all Cougar defensive line penetrating that young and smaller North High Saxon offensive line, as Silva's been under heat all game, and they have yet to establish a running game against a strong, poised Hawthorne Cougar defensive line.
Once again, Silva back to pass, lays it up there. This one sails out of bounds on him. So, you're right, at the 6:59 mark, it's going to be 4th down for the Saxons, 4th and 18. So, the Cougars will get the ball once again, and guess who's back there?
Thomas Brown. At this point of the game, Rufus, do you question this call by the North High Saxon coaching staff? They're down by 12 points. They got under 7 minutes to go. Do you punt or do you go for it?
Well, they may pull a fake here. They don't have much to lose, although they've got a lot of yards to pick up. They do kick it away. And guess what? Welcome to the Thomas Brown Show again, folks, as Brown cuts it inside. Doesn't get quite as much this time, but a decent return by conventional standards. Decent 10-yard return on the punt. Guess what? In the NFL, you get paid $1 million for that.
Definitely true. And when you look at the Saxons coaching staff's decision right there, at what point do you not kick the ball at Thomas Brown? He's already ate you up alive on special teams, whether it be on a punt or a kickoff. At some point, you got to say, hey, we're not kicking to him, somewhat like how pitchers do with Barry Bonds. They don't pitch to him. You just can't kick it to him. You got to kick it to the sidelines. Even though he didn't eat him up alive there, it's bound to happen sooner than later.
Bottom line is still in at quarterback. Cougars right now firmly in control of this game. Cougars, I think you'll see, keep it on the ground the rest of the way. That play, short gain, if any, on the play. Basically from where they're going to spot the ball. You can always tell fans where they're going to spot the ball by the position of the side judges.
So the Saxons are going to have to come up with a big defensive stand here and not let the Cougars eat too much of this clock up, as we're already down to under 7 minutes left in this ball game. And the Saxons are going to need 2 scorers to get within reach of the Hawthorne Cougars.
Well, the Saxons are down by 12. 2 touchdowns would definitely do the trick. 2 touches and an extra point would, in fact, give them the lead. That's a whole lot to ask for right now, though. However, the Cougars' propensity for turnovers makes anything possible. Once again, Cougars keeping it on the ground, and once again, no gain on the play. So you're going to have a 3rd and 10 coming up now, Scott. Just under 6 minutes left in the contest. Saxons hold again here. You're right. They're going to get the ball with an opportunity. They'll need a quick score. Then they'll look to use some of those 3 timeouts on the second possession. But whole lot of cards got to fall the right way for all that to happen.
Definitely true.
There's a nice little pass out in the flat, a quick hitter, and doesn't pick up the first down, but it does pick up 5 yards, and it'll put the Cougars in punting position as it's a 4th and 5. Now, this is kind of the same thing you're saying. If you ask me, I don't think there's any way the Cougars go for it here, even though they're at the midfield stripe. You don't want it, because if you don't make it, you don't want to give them the ball in good position. Even with the poor punt, you should be able to back them up 20, 25 yards or so off your line of scrimmage. As you look at the replay there.
Quick pass there to Robert Love, and superb tackling and penetration there by the Saxons defense, and now that sets them up for the ball possession and get their offense back on the field. And
Cougars forced to use a timeout because there are not enough men on the field.
back deep for the Saxons. Return this punt is their star wide receiver slash cornerback, Jeff Gray. And just like the Saxons, if I were the Cougars, I'd kick the ball away from him because he has the speed and the quickness and the explosiveness to take this one back. And that'll be a touchdown that they don't want to relinquish, especially this late in the game. You do not want to let the Saxons get back in this game.
So, Cougars with a bit of a breakdown there on special teams. Forces them to use a timeout, not having enough men on the field. As you said, Jeff Gray back to receive. It's a high kick, but not a very short one. And guess what? Our cameraman, Joe Shoa, gets in on the act as he gets popped upside the head with it.
And that was not the prettiest of kicks.
No, it wasn't. The line of scrimmage was the 50 as it was. The kick went a grand total of 9 yards. You know, on second thought, maybe they should have gone for it. They would have ended up in the exact same spot. Yeah.
He's going to look at this kick. It has no distance and length, but it does have distance vertically as it went straight up in there and straight down and only put the Saxons 10 yards back.
So it's a Saxon ball, 1st and 10 at their own 40. That pass is incomplete. A lick put on the receiver there by number 24, Daniel Dennis, as he knocks the wind out of Kyle Pond. Pond will be okay, folks. He just got hit right there in the chest, in the solar plexus. See, he's walking off now.
For the football team's sake and for the baseball team's sake, they hope Kyle Pond is A-okay.
Well, we hope you fans have enjoyed the Thomas Brown show tonight, because that's exactly what it's been as we start to wind down to a conclusion. We still got about 4 minutes left, but if you like pound cake, you can put a fork in this one, because the Cougars have pounded out a win tonight. You like that?
That's a good one.
That pass completes enough for the first down as they get the ball out just across the 50-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10.
I've heard the put a fork in them because they're dumb, but I've never heard the fork.
Fork in the pound cake. If you like pound cake, yeah, you can put a fork in this one, because the Cougars have pounded out a W.
Wonderful cliche by old Rufus.
So, I tell you, this officiating crew, they're real stingy with these first downs. They're making sure. It's not like baseball when on that double play on the flip to second, the guy only has to be in the neighborhood, doesn't even have to have his foot on the bag, and they give it to you. These guys, if they were baseball officials, there wouldn't be any double plays, because they're making you earn every inch of it. It is a first down, though, for the Saxons. Silva still in at quarterback. Silva passes off the wrong foot. Hits his receiver, though, Gray. Gray takes it down to looks from here like the 35-yard line.
And there we see the athletic skills of Jeff Gray as he went vertical for that pass. He got about a couple inches vertical in the air to pull that one down. As we get a look at it, pulls it down, great grab, moves the chains, and the Saxons for some reason aren't going no huddle, and time is ticking away on their fate here at Howcat Field. You got to wonder, where's the no huddle offense?
All right, if we can squeeze this play in here. Silva under center. Once again, dropping back to pass. That seems to be the only play in the playbook right now. Maybe should have gone out of bounds. Stays inbounds, though. Doesn't draw the first down, so the clock continues to run. Now would be a great opportunity if we wanted to take a time. Let's take a break right here on Hawthorne's Community Cable Channel 22, fans. All right. It's a 3rd down play now for the Saxons. 3rd and about 4. They need 2 scores here. There's the first down. They'll at least keep the drive alive as they get it down to the 20. But, Scott, we've only got 1:54 left in the contest. Saxons got to get 2 scores as they trail by a margin of 25-13.
This time is the nemesis right now for the North High Saxons, and they have done a poor job of clock management here. The clock's been running on them.
Silva drops back to pass. Silva has a lot of field in front of him. Silva takes it himself. He gets down near the 10-yard line. Not quite near a first down. May not be quite enough. Clock continues to run. 1:30 left. Saxons running out of time. They still got opportunity, but you need time as well. And now we have a timeout on the field as we've got an injured Cougar down.
So the Saxons have had poor clock management here. They've yet to instill a no-huddle offense, and on a couple occasions when they've made receptions, their receivers have yet to run out of bounds, and in turn took some time off the clock. At this point, time is a big factor in this game, as every second counts for the Saxons. And we're going to get a look at the replay as we have a Cougar down on the field. As Silva gets pressured in the pocket, ends up taking it, runs it up for about an 8-yard gain, and finally gets drugged down by number 35. And that's Terrell Kendall, who's been a superb player throughout this game. He's been all over the field for the Cougars, up and down, side to side.
There's still a little housekeeping here. Looks like they're gonna need to attend to the injured player. And in as much as we've only got 1:23 left, let's talk first of all about the fact that this production, again, brought to you by Hawthorne Community Cable Channel 22. However, tonight's production under the expert leadership and direction of Mr. Tom Strickfaden. Working with him on the crew tonight, on camera, Eric Chavez, Joe Shoa, Alonzo Gonzalez, and Nick Adolfo. The fine crew that brought you all the action as you see number 58 being helped off the field there. That's Manuel Miranda. Miranda in a bit of pain. However, we have reason to be optimistic only because he's putting some pressure on the foot. Means he got an ankle tweaked in all likelihood. Here's a play for the Saxons, and there's an indication that there's a touchdown. And it's it. From the looks of Silva, can't tell whether Silva scored that or Banks. If we can get a replay, we'll see.
Silva put that one in on the quarterback sneak, as we see here. Not too much penetration at the line. He ends up sneaking it in for the touchdown to put the Saxons in within 7 points of the Cougars. So hard with that scoreboard up there. It's a very brutal scoreboard. If fans at home get a look at it, you'll be able to tell.
And it's good. So that makes our score 25-20 as, again,
there's that
it's hard to
scoreboard.
tell how many seconds.
We just received news that there will be a fundraiser, a collection for light bulbs for Halkett Field for future games. All volunteers, call Hawthorne and Lawndale City Cable.
So that makes our score now 25-20. Cougar lead cut back to 5. It was 18-13, so we've had offsetting scores. Cougars will be looking to receive. They've got a little over a minute.
So when we look at this, Rufus, it's a 25-20 score. Cougars are up top by 5 with about 1:10 left in the game. And this is going to be onside play here as the Saxons need to recover this onside. Or it will be a 3-and-out circumstance for the Cougars, and they'll just take a knee, and that'll be the game. So basically the game is coming down to this onside kick right here for the North High Saxons.
And you're right, the Cougars prepare to receive the onside kick. Takes a big bounce. This one could go either way, but the Cougars do maintain possession. Boy, it was an excellent kick, excellent attempt there. He got the bounce that he needed, took a huge hop. Cougars come away with it. Looks like that's number 21, Robert Menchaca, who comes away with it.
Great hands there on that play. Sort of tough to hold on to a ball when you have 11 opposing defenders headed at you, but he ended up holding on to it.
Exactly, so it's going to be Cougar first down at their own 48-yard line as we come back to the field of play here. Saxons show blitz. Cougars keep it on the ground. That's Brown with the carry. And you're right, clock rolls down to 1:03 left. Timeout taken on the field by the Saxons.
As the Saxons took a timeout there. I believe they have 2 timeouts left. So if the Cougars do not obtain a first down here, the Saxons do have a chance of getting the ball back.
So Well, this one's already been put away, barring the miracle. All right, by the Saxons. Cougars just need to hold on. And if they do, they will go home with their first win of the season. Once again, they keep it on the ground. Once again, the Saxons are going to call timeout, I'm sure, and they do. This time the Cougars push back to midfield, so it's going to be, you're going to spot it at midfield.
So in these last two offensive plays for the Cougars, the Saxons have only let about 13 seconds relinquish off the clock as it's down to 57 seconds, and it's third down. So if the Saxons do hold the Cougars offense right here, they will undoubtedly get the ball back for one last hope of tying, actually getting the lead in this ball game as they're down by 5.
So it's a 3rd down and 8 for the Cougars. A lot of possibilities here, but I think the Cougars will take the safe route. Keep it on the ground. Well, they roll out the pass. You got to let it go soon. You don't want to hold it. Now Baudemunga comes around, picks up the first down, still going. This will be a touchdown for Baudemunga. Touchdown, Cougars!
That's the ball game.
In case you were wondering, 50-yard touchdown run for Baudemunga. No flags on the field. Well, there is. Let's take it back fast. We got flags on the field on the far side that we didn't see.
Well, if
Let's
this play
see what
stands.
It's a hold against the Saxons, declined by the Cougars. Add 6 more, that makes it 31-20 with 43 seconds left. And now, for all the doubters, indeed, it is over.
Rufus, rarely do you see a play like this. This play was completely broken up. He dropped back the pass, couldn't find no one, improvised, ended up running this one down the sideline for 50 yards. A broken play ended up to a touchdown for the Cougars. As we see Baudemunga take this down the sideline, no Saxon is near, and he took that home for 6.
Cougars using this score as an opportunity to work on the kicking game. That kick is up, and it's no good.
But at this point, Rufus, it doesn't matter, as the Cougars are up 31-20, and there's only 43 seconds left on the clock here in the 4th quarter. So it's been a while for the Cougars. Dates all the way back to last year's Mayor Cup, Rufus, for their last win.
Is that right? But they break out in a big way. And right now, all right, the players are cheering. I hope they got the good sense to wait until the game's officially over. And that's what they're doing. Of course, the players are hiding the Gatorade. I think Coach French has an idea that they're up to something. I need to wait till this one is official, though, guys. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it right. You wanna get inside the 10-second mark. Now's a little bit too soon. I have to wait just a tad longer. See, they're giving it away. There's too much movement, too much action. Let it come to you. What we're talking about, of course, if we can get a shot of the players are more, and we've talked about it. There you see them moving the Gatorade in position. These are the guys who are the sneaky guys. They're getting over there. And they get him with it. There the Cougars get their head coach. Coach French gets the drenching. Looking for the play. Here's what we're talking about now with 38 seconds left. Of course, the Cougars secure in the victory. And they get their assistant coach as well. And there's good reason for there to be joy and cheer on the Cougars sideline. First of all, one question is answered. They give up the shutout for the season. And I'm sure at one point there was some thought, gosh, are we ever going to nail one down? And they do. And more importantly, it's a conference win.
Definitely.
And, of course, CIF seedings are based on conference wins. So the Cougars get off to a good start in the Ocean League. They go up 1-0 in league play. 1-5 overall, 1-0 in league play.
And hopefully that water splash will wake up Coach French so he'll be a little more friendly with the Hawthorne and Lawndale City Cable staff and give the inside scoop to the Cougars.
Well, that was just his way of saying hello, how you doing? You know. But we've got 37 seconds left in the contest. They've got the ball. They being the Saxons of North Torrance on the short end of a 31-20 score with the ball. Here's a pass out in the flat to Gray, their primary receiver. He's taken down after a short game.
This is the way you want to start league play, Rufus. You don't want to start off with an L. And the Cougars are starting off with a win. And the road is not going to get any easier as there's some tough competition here in the Ocean League. They have the North High Saxons in the league who we see tonight. We have the Redondo Beach Seahawks, Santa Monica's in the league, and West Torrance.
And you got a flag on the play. Excuse me, Cougar with too many men on the field. Big number 99, and that's Jared Smith. We're going to get them all in. Smith's a 10th grader, 6'3", 350. And he had a little trouble getting off the field before they started the clock. So that little breakdown is going to cost the Cougars 5 yards. It'll make it a 2nd down and 3. It was a 2nd down and 8. We've got 9 seconds left in the contest. Question is, and before we ask the question, we'll tell you the answer is no, and that is, can they score 11 points in 9 seconds? Stranger things have happened, but it won't happen tonight. Whoa, as Silva goes down, and folks starting to get a little bit feisty now. And that will end the contest, fans. A little bit of frustration there by the North Torrance players. They'll all be sorted out. Nothing to write home about. Our final here at Hal-Cap Field. The Cougars, Scott, get off the snide with a 31-20 win at home over the visiting Saxons of North Torrance. And right now, they're feeling pretty chipper about themselves.
Definitely. The Cougars off to their first win of the season, and they win it when it counts. And that is during league play. They had 5 very, very tough games against 5 high-caliber teams in their non-league schedule. And they show that they do have the talent and they do have the composure to pull off big wins. And they did so tonight in their first win of the year against the North High Saxons. And next up for the Saxons, the road isn't getting any easier as they got to play the Redondo Beach Seahawks, who came in their tonight's game that they had at 3-2.
Well, tonight's contest, there are a lot of stars in this game, and at one point, you know, the Cougars, although they started out a little slow in the first quarter, man, once they got it going, they put this one away. But when it's all said and done, you got to admit, Scott, it was a Thomas Brown show.
Definitely was. Thomas Brown throughout the game dominated, whether it be on punt returns, whether it be on kickoff returns, or whether it be just running the ball for the Cougars. He completely dominated this game, and he dominated it more than any player we've seen the Cougars have in the last couple of years.
Brown had a good game on kickoff returns, on running from the line of scrimmage, on punt returns. As we said, although we don't have official numbers, I'm agreeing with you. Obviously, his all-purpose yards were well over 200 yards. We'll have to see what tomorrow morning's papers say, but he had a phenomenal game. But not to take anything away from him, a couple other Cougars got in on the act. Badamana had a nice run for a touchdown. Reggie Love had a touchdown pass from Stevens. So you had a couple of guys who got in there. Tuifua with a big 30-yard touchdown run. Got him started in the second quarter. So a number of Cougars contributed, and guess what? This is what football is about. It's a team sport, and the Cougars are going to go home tonight, Scott, with a 30-yard game. I mean, with a win, 1-0.
Yeah, the Cougars did prevail victorious tonight. And I'd have to say, even though it was the Thomas Brown show tonight, the key to this game was a superb play by the Hawthorne Cougar defensive line. The Hawthorne Cougars defensive line played dominant throughout this game. They completely manhandled the North High Saxon offensive line and penetrated that line throughout the game and kept pressure on Johnny Silva throughout the whole game. Silva, throughout the game, was rammed. He was hit. He was pressured. And in turn, that basically shut down that passing game, which was their only offensive threat throughout the game.
So, once again, as we prepare to wrap up for the night, let's congratulate the Cougars again, who get their first win of the season, which also happens to be an Ocean League win. They defeat the Saxons of North Torrance by a margin of 31-20 in an outstanding game. For everybody here at Hawthorne Community Cable Channel 22 that was a part of this production, also in conjunction with Time Warner, as well as our good friends at Lawndale Community Cable Channel 22. We say thank you for joining us, and for the entire crew, Tom Strickfaden, Eric Chavez, Joe Shoa, Alonzo Gonzalez, Nick Adolfo, and most importantly for my friend and partner tonight, Scott Gutman, I'm Rufus Washington saying good night, and we'll see you next week as the Cougars host West Torrance High School back here at Halcap Field, looking for their second win in a row. Fans, good night.
Good night.